All right, everybody, we are live, me and the brother Awini Baba. And this evening, this Friday evening, we are going to discuss this new Ghana US.
All right, everybody, we are live.
Hold on, my bad. Let's mute this.
And this evening,
All right, sorry about that. So this evening, we are going to discuss this new Ghana US military deal. And Awini, this is what I don't understand. Why you have so it's really two things. So number one, how can you consider yourself a sovereign nation, but you have a foreign nation that either has a military base set up in your country or has access to your military base, and a country that for the most part has not worked in the best interest of Africa? And then also too, why do we need U.S. military support if we have the African Union? And I'm going to assume that Ghana is a member of the African Union.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so let me say hi to everybody, and it's good to be back here. Your first question, why we need the USA here, as a sovereign state. Well, the USA has never left Africa since the time of independence, honestly. Matter of fact, let me expand on that. Europeans have never left Africa alone since we've been fighting for our sovereignty. Well, as far as sovereignty, I don't think that Africa is, and Ghana for that matter, is completely sovereign, by that I mean completely independent. If it were, then this wouldn't be happening. If it were, then we wouldn't need, the USA to come here and deal with this issue, which I don't know what the information is on the issue of, terrorism and so on. So I don't really think that Ghana is that sovereign. We've got some level of sovereignty, but obviously our leaders have sold out. This is what I've been talking about for almost every meeting we have. I chip it in that Africa is not ruled by Africans. It is ruled by imperialist powers, and all we have are puppet leaders who do, the bidding of the imperial masters. And the second question, why the AU couldn't handle this? The AU is a pale shadow of itself. The
Right.
AU, imagine having puppet leaders all over Africa. They're not going to come together in the AU and do anything different than what they're doing in their countries. You see, so if you have a bunch of puppets and they come together, don't expect anything. If there are a few, there are definitely a few, good leaders in Africa, as we said the other time, but those few are outnumbered. They can't do much. You see, so obviously, yes, I agree. The AU should have been equipped. I remember a brother asked a question about security in Africa, and yes, security is a big issue. You can't have development without security. But the AU is just, it's an excuse for a continental organization. I'm sorry to say,
Right.
as an African myself,
No, we
I
already
have
know
no
that.
faith in the AU. Yeah, I have no faith in the AU. So all of them, when you look at the membership and you look at the policies of the individual heads of state in their own countries, you don't expect them to do anything radically different when they come together. So that's pretty much answers your question.
So what's been the reception of it by Ghanaians in Ghana? Like, how do they feel about this deal?
Ghanaians, Ghanaians are concerned. I mean, Ghanaians don't want uh, any military presence of any other country in Ghana. We don't want it. And so the general reaction has been we don't want this deal. But that will fall on deaf ears. And you remember, our president just recently was talking rhetoric to the French president. You remember that?
I was just about to ask about that. So talking rhetoric, but now
it's just rhetoric. There's no substance in African leadership as it is today. They are sellouts. I hate to say this, but they are sellouts because when you look at the policies they adopt for Africa, they're always one-sided and shortchanging Africa. But they don't care because they get their fair share and they sell out the continent. And they've been doing this. This is why the early leaders were assassinated. We have to remember this and put it in context. And so I'm not surprised, honestly, even though a lot of Ghanaians are surprised by this and there's a lot of noise about it. I'm not surprised at all. This issue of a military cooperation between the U.S. and Ghana didn't start now. It started in '98. The most recent one, I think, was in 2015. There's always been cooperation.
Somebody was saying that it started under Jerry Rawlings, but Jerry Rawlings was there before '98. Right?
He was there before '98. He handed over in 2000. Jerry Rawlings handed over to John Akufo-Addo in 2000. So it started under Rawlings, 1998.
Okay. Yeah, somebody's saying in the chat room that Accra Nana did nothing. They are ratifying a bill which had been in existence since 1998. In fact, Nana government is transparent. They brought the bill to Parliament unlike his predecessor. What are your thoughts on that?
This is people are politicizing. You see, I don't like this issue of politicizing the security of Ghana. Right. And I'm assuming this is a Ghanaian speaking, and he's speaking in support of this government. And nothing can justify this. If the previous administrations have committed these errors, by cooperating with the United States, and there's nothing wrong with cooperation. It's just that you have to look at your best interest. When you need to come, on a negotiation and negotiate for something. All you need to do is look out for your best interest, because every party looks out for the best interest. So there's nothing political about this. We are talking as Ghanaians. I'm talking as Ghanaian. I don't care about NPP and NBC. I don't care about the current regime or the previous one. Ghana does not belong to them. The few, that small clique of politicians, Ghana does not belong to them. They need to be reminded of this. And Ghana is not your property to dish out at will and not consider what the citizenry are saying. Parliament has ratified, just this night I looked at the news, Parliament has ratified that agreement, which means it's legally binding and all that. And if you look at the contents of some of the agreements, it's despicable. How can you go into a military deal with America and you give America tax-free, importation? America can import everything into that. Through that, I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, because we know that systems are abused all over the place. We are not even allowed to check what they're bringing into our own country. That's just stupid. And I get disgusted when I hear Ghanaians defending this. Even Rawlings, who initiated a similar agreement, came out and condemned this, that we don't need this. And several other strong leaders or well-known leaders have opposed this. How can you say that the USA can bring in anything tax-free? You don't need to check what they're bringing in. They don't. They can use our airwaves free of charge. They can use our radio spectrum free of charge. They don't need a driver's license to be in Ghana. They don't need a visa.
The driver's license, is that Ghanaian? I mean, is that American military professional? Is that any American at all?
Military people. But
Okay.
the problem is, though, these rules even apply to the military. You can't just come walk in and want all the privileges. You know, people can come in without visas. That means you don't screen the kinds of people entering your country. This insults our sovereignty, and actually this makes it makes me laugh, because the president was talking about Ghana beyond aid. This isn't Ghana beyond aid.
Right.
And all we are getting from, we are even supposed to provide financial support for security detail of the United States. The United States can make use of our facilities in that agreement, and make adjustments to those facilities. This just kind of puts us in the dark as to what's going on. That's just like giving your country to the USA. That's how some of us feel about it, because you don't allow anybody into your country unfettered access to just freely operate. It just doesn't make sense. Besides, if you look at the issue of terrorism across, Africa and so on, Ghana is not, from what I know and what people know, it's not a terror-prone zone.
Well, let me ask you this, Awini. Now, since Ghana is formally in a formal military, I guess, agreement with the U.S., does that put a target on Ghana now?
It definitely will, because look at Kenya. What happened in Kenya?
Right.
It definitely will, make Ghana a target for, militant, attacks and so on.
Oh,
I do not.
And guess what? Somebody said this in the chat room, and I forgot about this part. So the soldiers also have diplomatic immunity as well.
Of course.
So they can do pretty much anything, and
if they commit a crime,
right,
we can't prosecute them. It's
right.
only the USA can prosecute them. That's just stupid. I mean, and all we're getting out of it is $20 million.
And that was my next question. Okay, and that's going to the military and the police force. I mean, let's speak on Ghana's military. I mean, how many warships do they have? I'm pretty sure they're outdated. How many fighter jets do they have? Like, you can't buy anything with $20 million. Maybe some old rusty AK-47s, but I mean, how can you build your military with $20 million? Like, literally, here in America, a damn jet is at, it's like $300 million. So yeah, what are you gonna do with $20 million?
I mean, it's crazy. And to say that the money is going to the military, I don't believe it. I don't believe that money is just going to be lifted and given to the military. It's going to find its way into people's pockets, and people can, cuss me for being wrong, but that's what I know. And I don't think that African leaders, and I keep saying this, and I've been saying this even before, African leaders of today are sellouts. And the youth need to forget. When I talk now, because this current party in government has its followers, people are going to assume, because that I'm speaking for the other party. I don't speak for any of those parties. Both of them are the same, because under the previous regime, they brought the president brought the Gitmo 2. He accepted 2 Gitmo detainees into Ghana and allowed them free access into Ghana to be roaming about. I don't know how it is that is dealt with, but obviously there was a monetary, reward for that. And so these leaders, they are a disgrace to our sovereignty. They are a disgrace to our fight for true independence. They are a disgrace to true patriots such as Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They disgust some of us, honestly, and they just sell out and they don't care the consequences. If there's a war right now, or any problem in Ghana, they can get on the next plane and get out of here. We are those left to deal
Right.
with it. And so, for them to think that they call the shots, of course, they're in the leadership position. But when there's an agreement like this, an issue like this, and people are speaking out, you don't just go ahead and do it, and it's going to cost this government big time, I'm telling you. But my advice to Ghanaians is don't go back to the previous government, because they are the ones who even brought this in, and every time new arrangements or updates are being made to this military agreement, you see, and strangling us and taking away our sovereignty. This is what the issue is, and we need to even look at it within the broader context of, security in Africa. You see, because security in Africa has been left to the United States
No,
and all other,
to non-Africans, basically.
basically, and surprisingly, we in Africa, we have to pay for the United States mess of a foreign policy. They go around the world, mess around, mess other people's countries up, and then they become a target.
Right.
And they use us as proxies by establishing these bases in our territories, and the militants or people who want revenge on the United States rather attack us, the innocent people who did not benefit from the foreign policies of the United States.
Right.
So we are being used, we are taking part of the blame, or paying part of the price for what the United States does globally. And that for me is just it's unfair. It's unfair, and nobody in their right senses will be defending this deal. It's so insulting to me as a Ghanaian and as an African. You see, and these look at the issue of Boko Haram. Look,
Right. Right. Go ahead.
these issues of insecurity across Africa have been there for how long? Boko
Yeah.
Haram has been there for years, several years. That I can. What has the AU done
Nothing. Nothing.
to arrest security in Africa, insecurity in Africa?
Nothing.
All they do is they go and have a bunch of meetings and go back home. That's all I know. And in when the rebels of the north attacked, the southern part of Mali, I think that was in
Yeah. Yeah.
2012, 13.
2013, and the French came.
The French came, the AU went and met and came out with a military strategy or plan, but they said, okay, so who's going to finance it? And then it stalled. You see, you can't say you are sovereign and yet you can't solve your security issues. If you do that, and there's ample evidence to suggest that some of the insecurity in Africa is not, it has nothing to do with Africans. It
Right.
has nothing to do with Africans. It's a group of insurgents that are trying to destabilize Africa to enable the imperialists to recolonize Africa. You remember President Trump, before his election, was even advocating that Africa needs to be recolonized. I don't know if people remember this, but I do. That President
Wow.
Trump made a comment about Africans not being able to rule themselves, and they need to pretty much go back into colonization. This is what is
Wow.
happening right now. That the US president will call.
Awini. Damn. Awini, you there? Awini. Hello. All right, everybody. Hopefully, Awini comes back. I mean, I hope we didn't lose him. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure he dropped off. He should be coming back on. Guys, please make sure as you enter the chat room that you hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I really would appreciate if you did that as you come into the chat room. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Again, we're just speaking on the new Ghana-U.S. military deal. You know, I'm going to call it Colonialism 2.5 because I'm just a firm believer that you cannot have a sovereign nation with a foreign country or entity, their military presence on, you know, in your on your soil. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, so everybody, thank you so much. Sujin Kang, thank you for the super chat. Y'all, thank you for the super chat. Sujin and y'all. Well, yeah, I know you got this one already, so I'm gonna send this one to you. So please, if you super chat, you will get a postcard. You gotta use the bathroom? Yeah. Go use it over there. Yeah. Okay. So if you super chat, you will get a postcard. So you'll get send me an email, search for huru@gmail.com. I need your address, and I will send you a postcard, either the king or the me with the Shanti Gar. So let me know which one you want. So thank you so much for super chatting. Let's see what else we got going on in here. I am. When he hopefully he comes back on. Let me see if he messages me. But hopefully he comes back on, because I definitely had a couple more questions for him. But deals like this does not benefit the African people. We all know that. So America's pretty much getting full access to Ghana for $20 million. That's okay. I will. Okay. I will. I'm busy. Okay. All right. You want to say hi to anybody? You want to say hi? No. Okay. Never. No. Never. Okay. All right. Max is being shy tonight, but you know, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so they're getting okay. Awini's back, you guys.
All right. Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, we thought you got kidnapped by aliens. We were just hoping you didn't get kidnapped by aliens. So you're back.
Yeah. My credit ran out, so I had to rebundle.
No problem. Hey,
yes.
So quick question. Do you think Ghana doing this has anything to do? I'm sorry, with this agreement? How do you think? I don't know what type of agreements Ghana has with China. If they do have some type of agreement, how does that affect that agreement with China?
Yeah, well, I like the question because some of the thinking minds have suggested that this is a move to counter the influence of China and Russia and so on in Africa. And yeah, but as far as I know, there is no military operation by China in Ghana. All that China is doing in Ghana is to make investments.
Right.
You see, and this is not, Ghana should not be used, or Africa should not be used as a front to fight wars between two countries. A third party who is not directly involved in the benefits of a war is being used as a pawn. This is what is happening to Africa. Africa is being used as a battlefront. People don't want their citizens to die from bomb attacks and all of these things. They brought the war to Africa and sell out African leaders. And I repeat this, African leaders who are just puppets are the ones who are doing this and allowing this. And I would blame the African leaders, because when you go to the negotiating table, you should look out for our interests. That's why we elected you. Right. We didn't elect you to be an imperialist puppet. We elected you to be a patriotic African, a patriotic Ghanaian, not to be a puppet. You see, so I am completely disgusted, but I'm not surprised because uh, uh, when you look at the influence of foreign entities in Africa, it is on the rise. If when you study African independence, first decade or the decade of African independence, from between the 50s, even proceed to the 60s, most of the African states that were free, they got really, really good leaders with good intentions, such as Patrice Lumumba
Right.
in Congo. Look at how Congo is destabilized now. Are the resources not still flowing out of Congo? They are,
Right.
right? Uh, uh, we had good leaders. And it is this same USA, the same European people, they are the ones who assassinated these leaders. And then they have the audacity to insult our intelligence by telling us, Africa can't rule itself. You ruined Africa.
Right.
Don't insult our intelligence. And I hate it when people try to, play smart and insult our intelligence this way. Look, the CIA came out to admit that they masterminded the assassination of
Lumumba.
Kwame Nkrumah. And even Kwame Nkrumah, they did
Right.
not deny their role in this. And they did so with the help of sellout Ghanaians. This is what we need to acknowledge. Our people, teamed up foreign elements to kill our early leaders. You see, this is the issue. And instead of Ghanaians identifying these people as traitors, they still follow them. And this is why
Right.
I don't belong to any of those so-called parties. None of them represent our interests. All of them engage in wholesale adoption of neoliberal policies that have made our markets to decline. You see, so I'm not surprised at all. This is just on the security front. If you look at the economic front, the West African bloc have signed on to an agreement called the Economic Partnership Agreement with Europe or EU. And in this agreement, this is a similar thing. In this agreement, you are to allow the inflow of goods and services. You see, in the same way that the European Union would allow the inflow of goods and services. What this does is it opens up the shores of Ghana for all manner of goods to land in our market and outcompete our goods here. Our few goods we produce here, they're going to be outcompeted, and it's going to put Ghanaians out of business. The issue of free trade is a hoax. You can't say a country or West Africa cannot have equal trade with the EU. Why? Because we are not on the same level of production. We are not on the same level of development. This is the reality. So when you go into an agreement with such a group, you go in and you ensure that your interest is protected. Now, the EU prepared this agreement and brought it to West Africans. And all our leaders do is to say yes to these things. And I'm sick and tired of them. I'm disgraced to have them as leaders, in all honesty. I think that all of them have done Africa more harm than good. And if they were for the interest of Africa, Africa would have been doing so well by now. We wouldn't have these issues of little pockets of terrorism threatening our continent, threatening our security. They're not in charge. They're telling us this, but we still keep voting for them. They're telling us to bring the United States here to help you, arrest an issue of insecurity just means you are admitting that you are incapable. Then what are you doing in government? So I mean, all of these leaders that came, the crop of leaders that replaced our freedom fighters in Africa, to me, they all sold out the freedom movement, and they made sure they sent Africa back and sold Africa back to the Europeans. And these are the leaders who are flying in private jets around the world, and I have no respect for them.
Right.
And I'll never have respect for them.
Hey, real quick, somebody in the chat room was asking, did Dankwa sell out Kwame Nkrumah? Dankwa?
Dankwa was a CIA agent. It's plain and simple.
Oh, really?
It's a
Okay.
known CIA agent.
Oh, was
So
he?
all of these, all of these people, and the current president is a relative of Dankwa, and
Oh
so
God.
he, and his whole agenda has been to bring up the name of Dankwa, to as a leader. There was a debate in Ghana a while back about why people like Dankwa and so on are not on the same status of with Kwame Nkrumah. The current president is trying to equate JB Dankwa to Kwame Nkrumah, and they can never be equated, because when Kwame Nkrumah was busy fighting for pushing for independence, Dankwa and others were like, nah man, we need to go back to the British.
Are you
We
serious?
can't be on our yes, we can't be on our own. It's on records. Yes. So that when they were arrested, for agitating for freedom, all of them turned on Kwame Nkrumah and blamed Kwame Nkrumah for agitating for freedom, and that it wasn't that he should have find a more amicable way. Either way, then they singled out Kwame Nkrumah, and he won the election while he was in prison. Kwame Nkrumah won the election while he was in prison. So there is an attempt by the current regime, because their political tradition is called the Buzia Dankwa tradition. You see,
Let me
this
ask
is
this.
their political.
So this is interesting. So we have this situation as far as the Ghana U.S. military deal. And then, in Liberia, the new president, he got rid of the non-Negro clause, meaning anybody can now buy land in Liberia. Like it's just interesting that all this is going on.
Yeah, I think that George Weah, needs to be commended. He has proven himself to be a clear example of somebody who really wants to help their country, and I wish him all the best. But if he's going to win our support, he's going to have to say no to. You can't rule a country if you can't say no to certain propositions from outside. You see, so I wish him all the best in what he's trying to do. He has developed himself, from being a footballer to being an economist and so on, and now the president. So I wish him all the best. But these developments definitely go to show that some African leaders, and I use this very carefully, some
Go ahead.
they mean well. They mean well. But you see, if the rest of the African leaders don't fight with them, they fight alone, and eventually they lose the fight. You see, so I think he's on the right path to remove such a clause. I'm not aware of that development, but since you've mentioned it, I'll look into it. But uh, I like George Weah personally. I hope he doesn't disappoint me. You know, I like him personally, but just have to see whether he continues the tradition, which is business as usual, or he charts a different path. And African leaders need to grow a spine and stand on their own. It's what, look. Let me ask the question, and I want
Go ahead.
most people listening, especially from Ghana, to ask these leaders. Ask them what is their plan for Africa or Ghana to be completely independent, relying on its own resources mostly, and trading with the world in a manner that benefits it. They don't have a plan. All they're doing is just facilitating the draining of our resources, and they're getting rich in the process.
Right.
Everybody that has come into politics has gotten rich overnight. Kwame Nkrumah is the only man I have absolute respect for. Why? He wasn't perfect. No one is perfect. But at least he showed us the way, and he showed us how to be patriotic. This is a man who died without even building a house for himself.
Uh-huh.
This is a man who had nothing. He died with nothing. He had nothing. He didn't even build a house for himself before he died. And he had the resources to do so. He had the access to resources to do so. This is a man who really showed us the spirit of Africa. All these other leaders, they're just talking. That's why when my president, said that to the French president, it was good to know, that an African leader could stand up. But when it comes to the real deal, the walk, then that's the problem. You see? And so in wrapping it up for maybe a question and answer session,
Uh-huh.
African security issues need to be researched properly by the AU through its organ for security, AU force. And we need to deal with our own issues. We cannot deal with so-called terrorism, and I use the word so-called because some of the terrorism around the world was created in order to create an environment of insecurity to then give an excuse for certain people to come in and repossess or take a seat in Africa and say we are helping you to fight insecurity. This is the issue. What the government of Ghana has done is to say that, okay, the United States, please come in and help us to fight insecurity, and we're
Right.
going to take care of it. And in the deal, we're supposed to take care of the expenses. I'm telling you. And I don't know how long this is going to go on. This is going to be definitely, I don't know. But African leaders need to grow some balls straight
Right.
and and protect our interests. And we need to forget about these crop of leaders, in all honesty, and look to new leadership. It's good that this issue has come up, and I've seen a broad spectrum of demands who are just disgusted at this. Some people went to the Parliament House to demonstrate today. The doors were shut down the place to deny them
Oh,
access.
so people have been protesting this decision.
There was a group, the economic fighters. The economic fighters
In South Africa.
went to Parliament. No, in Ghana, we have an economic fighters group in Africa, in Ghana too.
Okay.
And the economic fighters went there and they were denied access. You see? So the youth, we need to forget about all these leaders, honestly. And you see, if the youth of Africa understand the dynamics of population, we can topple these leaders in overnight, because we are the majority. All we need to do is to change our minds. That's all we need. And we need to do that and forget about tribalism and all of religion, all those divisive things, because we all suffer the same thing. You see? So the AU needs to sit up and deal with the issue of insecurity in Africa. You can't take the lazy way out and say, other people should come do it for you. No country in the world will come and help Africa for free. That's one thing that needs to be clear. So
Exactly.
we need to deal with our own issues. It will save us a lot of trouble.
All right, let's see what questions we have in the chat room. I know some people are making some statements in the chat room in regards to Kwame Nkrumah. I don't know what it has to do with this subject, but pretty much bringing up that he had a white wife and all his grandkids are white now.
No, he had an Egyptian. Let's make a distinction. He had an Egyptian wife. All right, he wasn't a white wife. He had an Egyptian wife, and I personally believe it was a strategic move for Kwame Nkrumah to try to unite Ghana with Egypt. Remember, Nasser was half black, half Arab too.
Who?
You know,
who was?
the Abu Nasser, a former Egyptian president,
Oh,
was
NASA.
partly
Right. He got assassinated though, correct?
he was part black, part Arab.
Right.
You see, so for me, it was a smart move to bring unity between, African below the Sahara and Africans above the Sahara. And for least you forget there are black Africans living in Egypt and have always lived there, even today, in
Right.
places like Aswan. You see, so definitely not. I don't think that's something that takes it away from him. And let me also point out that Nkrumah also had a child with a Ghanaian woman.
Oh,
You
we didn't
know,
know that.
also, yeah, who is also a doctor now, called I think Osni Nkrumah. So definitely not. You see, uh, let me reiterate what Professor Clark said. Having African blood is not enough. You need to have commitment. We have had, and if you look at the struggle of African people all over the world, we have had half caste mulatto people who have been more committed to Africa than Africans, full-blooded Africans themselves.
Right.
True or false? And they have died for the cause. And so to make it look as if Kuma, kind of didn't want to be with a black woman. That's an understatement. I don't think that that would be fair to him at all. And we need to understand Kwame Nkrumah properly. And they knew each other, for really long when Kwame Nkrumah was schooling, in the United States and so on. So you can't take that away from him.
All right. What about let me ask you, do you think this military deal has anything to do with I guess the Black American number of Black Americans relocating to Ghana?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I have found that people resisting this even accuse the United States of double standards, that they treat blacks in America like hell. They treat them like like animals, and then they come to Africa saying we're trying to help you. I mean, it's so baffling for a regime that is anti-black, clearly anti-black, to say, we want to come and help you, Africa. I mean, what are these so-called leaders of Africa thinking? And I don't think that they don't know. They know. They just don't care. All they care about is what they get. That's all they care about, and that's why I'm sick and tired of them. I don't advise any youth in Africa to put their hopes in the current political arrangement in Africa. It was set up by the colonialists, and it was set up to sell Africa to colonialists and imperialists.
All right, let's see what other questions we got in the chat room. Now somebody was saying that the I guess excuse or the rebuttal that a lot of people were giving in regards to this arrangement was that American soldiers are already in Ghana and training Ghanaian soldiers. So how do you feel about that?
We have had military cooperation, dating back to Rawlings. We said this before. It's different from having a permanent base, sort of.
Right.
You see, where you have, unfettered access to a range of resources in Ghana, including, buildings, including radio spectrums, including importation, free importation, and so on. I mean, it's totally different. It's totally different.
Okay. And Shayna Nadu, that only happened one time. Shayna made a comment in the chat room. I know it happened once, but she's saying that I heard that some of the locals are murdering some African American expats because they're jealous. Is that true? I've only heard of that once.
No, I don't. Who said that? Jealous?
Yeah, her name is Shayna Nadu. But I've heard that has happened once in Ghana, but that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, I don't think that the motive was jealousy. I don't. I think I've come across that story. I think it was a lady, right? Or I
Yeah,
think so.
yep. It was either one lady or it was two from I think Chicago or Detroit here in America.
In Ebri somewhere. Yeah, but I don't think that that would have been the motive. This attitude, and I've spoken. I like, we're all brothers and sisters. This attitude of people to single out. I can point to you Africans who have been to America and have been equally killed by African Americans. But we don't say, African Americans hate us. And that's why if you're a victim of a crime, you deal with it at that level.
Right.
But if when you realize it, it becomes a whole different issue. You see? And so I've never heard of such a thing as jealousy anywhere. Let me tell you, the issue of security, even internal security, is serious in almost every country now you go to. If you have something, you need to hold on to it. You need to, sometimes you need to forget all of this. Yes, we are all brothers and sisters, but we do admit this discussion we're having about, how some of our leaders have sold out. They are our fathers and uncles and so on, but they sold us out, right?
Right.
And they still continue to do so, but they are our people. So the lesson is not all of our people are good, but I can tell you for sure that majority of our people have good hearts. From what I have experienced living here, majority of our people have good hearts, and all you need to do is to know how to hold your own.
Okay. And Awini, is this $20 million? Is that annually or just a one-time situation?
Now it's a one-time thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that.
It's a one-time thing. That's just
that's nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, some of us will question this, and we can be tagged, anti-NPP, anti the current government, and so on. We don't care. What we care about is Ghana. And after NPP, there'll come a time NPP may die, NDC may die, because we have seen how political party been transformed into something else. We'll still be here. So Ghana is beyond party. This issue is a Ghana issue. It is not a thing to be played with or to be used for political point scoring. The security of Ghana and the sovereignty of Ghana is supreme to all of this. And anybody who thinks that they have the right to compromise our sovereignty is an enemy of Ghana. I
Right.
don't care what anybody says. You're an enemy of Ghana and Africa, and you are selling us. You are setting us back. I mean, you are setting us several years back after some of our people have had to die for us to get to where we are, and some of us come along and we don't care. See, so my advice to African youth: it's high time we forget about all of these so-called parties, and we forge together and see what we could do for ourselves.
Hey, let's ask. Let's do two more questions. Two more questions. So question number one: how do you feel this decision will affect other African nations?
Well, I think that the region, for instance, West Africa, the region definitely will have cause to question why. Look, the USA offered a similar deal to Nigeria to come and deal with Boko Haram. Nigeria turned it down several
No, no,
times.
no. Actually, I think okay. Didn't Nigeria ask for arms from America, and Obama said no?
Yeah, they would take the arms, but it's different from allowing the US to come and permanently occupy part of Nigeria to deal with the issue. You get me? That's the difference here. If you wanted to help us address, and that is why I think that this is a recolonization of Africa. This is bringing the war to Africa. Because if you really wanted to, deal with the issue, then you would equip the AU. You would equip the AU. You could even play some role in leading, the fight against terrorism. But you don't come in yourself. That is unacceptable. No country or continent will compromise its sovereignty that way. It's non-negotiable. We cannot. We fought hard to get to where we are. We can't just have a few leaders coming and giving it away for small change. No.
All right. So, and this is a two-part question, and then we'll go ahead and close out after this. Um, do you think African leaders conform to, I guess, agreements like this because they're afraid of being assassinated or taken out, like Lumumba, Gaddafi, and Sankara? And then also, to last this question, you can answer it all in one. With this recent development, do you think Black Americans who are interested in Ghana should still relocate or do business in Ghana?
Yeah. I think any African leader who is afraid of the consequences of being a leader shouldn't be a leader at all.
Right.
If you're not coming to help us solve our difficult problems, then you better not come at all.
Right.
So there's no excuse for selling out. Also, as far as being assassinated and so on, we have the AU. Why couldn't the AU come together to protect itself, to protect everybody, all the leaders against this? Why are we the only people in the world who are still bowing to so-called imperialism? China was also invaded. Japan was invaded. India, all of these other places were invaded. Why are we the ones always giving excuses? Why we shouldn't be doing what we should be doing? I mean, the youth, we're sick and tired of this. Always we're giving excuses why we're not doing our job right. Always giving excuses. The world has no room for excuses. Nature gives no room for excuses. You make a mistake, you pay for it. It's as simple as that. You see? So I think what Africa needs is to forget about the current political arrangement. They are not leading Africa anywhere good. I'm telling you. for most countries I know, we need to start looking to ourselves. I'm talking about the youth. As for, of course, some of the elderly people also mean well. They don't have access to power, you see. So we need to begin to assert ourselves, and no amount of pressure from outside can stop the march to true independence. And I'm somehow energized by what Kwame Nkrumah said when he was told that, you know, his government has been toppled. When he was told that there has been a coup d'etat, he said, "Look, Africa would it'll go down, but it'll come up again. That will be the trend that is going to be, because the early leaders were taken out, replaced by puppets. The people, however, are beginning to see through all of this, and they are the ones who are going to make the change. And we'll conclude this by, you know, putting our minds to knowing our history. We need to learn our history. We need to learn what we need to build our nation. We need to turn off all of the unnecessary entertainment, music, all of this. All of this is designed, people having beef, you know, sensationalism in the media and so on. All of this is designed to preoccupy the African mind, to keep it from doing what it's supposed to do. You see, there's a very strong attempt to do this, and people are doing that, putting all of our so-called entertainers and so on, putting them there. Look at what they're promoting. They're promoting negativity. You see, nothing uplifting in that. So we need to forget about the entertainers, forget about all these fake religious leaders, forget about the politicians, and concentrate on ourselves. That's what we need to do. And when we do that, we would remove their deceit from our minds, and focus on what we need to focus on. And we're the only people who have everything that are still begging. It's pathetic that in this day and age, countries in Africa still go with the bowl to beg. It's unacceptable.
All right, what are your thoughts in regards to
the African
American
movement? Africa is going to be free. You know, you remember when Ghana gained independence, even, you know, the issue of Liberia, you know, when people like Martin Delany and so on promoted the Back to Africa movement, and that would have ultimately led to the creation of Liberia, somewhere to Sierra Leone and elsewhere. You remember,
yes,
some people came home. W.E.B. Du Bois came home. He died here. We have
yes.
a mausoleum to his name close to the American embassy in Accra.
Awini. Awini. Oh, I think we lost a brother. All right, you guys, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and give him a minute to get back on. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure, if you're new, I think I've seen some new faces in the chat room. If you're new, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. People who super chatted, thank you so much for super chatting. Also, make sure you go to searchforahuru.com, go to dynastymirror.com, and go to amazon.com. Search your name, Dynasty Mirror. Please buy a book. Also, make sure you go to if you're not following me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, the handle is Search for Uhuru. Also on these same platforms, Africa Personified. Africa Personified. Please like and share and all that good stuff. If you're in the chat room, please like the video, please. And if you're not super chatting, please share. Please like and share at the very least. And of course, if you're enjoying this this stream, if you're not gonna super chat, Desmond, thank you so much, fam, for the super chat again. But everybody, thank you for coming on. We'll wait another minute or so to see if Awini gets back on. I think we lost him. Seth, thank you so much for the super chat, family. Seth, did I send you a postcard? Desmond, I think I sent you a postcard. But Seth, did I send you a postcard? Let me know. Sujin, I got your email. But yeah, let's wait for the brother. Let's see if he gets back on. If not, we'll go ahead and close out. Let's give it one more minute. Seth, thank you so much for the support, man. Everybody, thank you for who super chatted. Thank you for super chatting. Everybody who joined us tonight, thank you for coming on. It really means a lot. I will be back on tomorrow with Professor Davis. No, I need both cards, bro. One. Okay. Send me your email address. I mean, email me your physical address. Yes, he's super chatting. So there's a $ icon next to the emoji icon that if you click on that, you be able to donate. So if you click on a $, oh, Awini, go ahead, brother. Go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, I just want to wrap it up and then
go ahead.
So my message to the African diaspora, Africans in America, Africans in the Caribbean, and so on. If your purpose for coming to Africa is to only come when things are rosy and good, then do you really consider Africa your motherland? Or you think it's just another place that you could go and benefit? You have to make a choice, because you can be part of Africa's liberation, because Africa still needs to be liberated economically. You can be part of it and still make a profit from your investment. There's no doubt about that. But you need to make up your mind. If you're coming to Africa as an imitation white capitalist, or you're coming as a brother or sister, you need to make up your mind.
All right, brother. We appreciate that, Winnie. Please go ahead and close out and give everybody your contact information as well.
Yeah, you can reach me on awinibaba@gmail.com. Awini is spelled AWINI. Baba is spelled BABA @gmail.com. You can reach me on WhatsApp +233 249 831 251. That's +233 249 831 251. Thank everybody for being on here. Let's see what we can. I wanted to ask about the progress with the donations for the $1 project, because it's really needed.
Okay,
really
let's
needed.
do this. Let's do this, Let's do a show Sunday. In fact, let you get together.
We can do a show.
Right, let's you get together tomorrow. Let's come up with, because I have the nonprofit. So let's come up with some ideas, something solid that we can present to the people on Sunday. We'll do a show about it.
Sunday will not be good for me. I'm traveling Sunday. Can it happen tomorrow?
Let's see, because I'm gonna be busy with my son, and I have. We'll see.
But
not Sunday for sure. Not tomorrow for sure. Monday, if you can't do Sunday.
Sunday I can do it around this time, but definitely not in the daytime.
Let's see here. That's fine. That's fine. That's
okay.
All right.
So, all right. So we'll talk about that. So greetings to everybody. All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Awini. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.